In this explainer, we're going to focus on a single transitional moment in European history. We're looking back 50 years to a continent that was truly caught between its post-war past and a rapidly approaching modern future.
The month itself began with this atmosphere of unusual tranquility, a sense of calm that, as it turns out, would be quite misleading.
So our setting is continental Europe for the single month of April in 1976.
The weather itself was remarkably gentle. This warm spring was in fact a preview of the historic, scorching drought that was going to define the summer of '76. It was a calm moment with the truly extreme shift lying just over the horizon.
When you look at the cultural landscape of the month, you find these stark contradictions, from very bright, optimistic pop music to much, much darker stories playing out in the cinemas.
The soundtrack of April was, well, overwhelmingly Technicolor. On the 3rd of the month, the Eurovision Song Contest in The Hague saw the UK's Brotherhood of Man win. But the sound that really dominated the airwaves from West Berlin all the way to Rome was ABBA's Fernando. It absolutely cemented the Swedish group as the reigning monarchs of European pop music.
In sharp contrast to the buoyant feeling on the music charts, a trip to the cinema offered a very different and much grittier perspective on the times.
In Italy, for example, the Poliziotto, the police thriller, was at its absolute peak. Releases like Cross Shot and Nick the Sting weren't just simple entertainment. They were direct cinematic reflections of a society that was grappling with the political violence of its years of lead. These were cynical, action-heavy films. At the same time, as a counterpoint, the French director François Truffaut released Small Change, a very gentle film that explored the world through children's eyes, offering a quiet alternative to all that on-screen violence.
Now, beyond culture, the news cycles of the month were being driven by fundamental political shifts, changes that would actually reshape entire nations.
In Lisbon, April 25th was a monumental day. Portugal enacted its new constitution, which formally established a modern parliamentary system. This act brought decades of authoritarian rule to a close and truly signaled a new democratic dawn for the nation.
Then in Athens, a completely different kind of revolution was happening, a revolution of words. On the very last day of the month, the Greek parliament officially chose Demotiki, the common language of the people, over the formal, almost archaic Katharavousa for official use. This decision finally put an end to the very long and divisive Greek language question.
And yet, this period of progress and transformation was not without its own significant points of tension, and in some cases, outright conflict.
Some fractures were becoming very visible. In the North Atlantic, the cod wars between Iceland and the United Kingdom over fishing rights were heating up to the point that naval vessels were actually ramming one another. And then in Paris, the month ended with the tense hijacking of a Turkish Airlines jet at Orly Airport, a really stark reminder of the unpredictable nature of modern political violence.
So, when you reflect on all the events of April 1976, you can start to synthesize these different threads and see a larger picture taking shape.
And this really poses a compelling question. A single month can serve as a kind of snapshot, one that captures the contradictions of an entire era. The way that pop optimism existed right alongside deep-seated cynicism, and how democratic progress was happening at the same time as simmering conflict.
As April 1976 drew to a close, it revealed a continent in motion. It was a society moving to the beat of disco, moving toward new kinds of democracy, and, unknowingly, moving toward a summer whose intensity no one would ever forget.
The analysis presented in this explainer was derived from source material provided by Stalls or Circle.